Hi guys, so we are about to start with our October webinar. Actually this is the webinar we held in September, but due to the huge interest in our previous webinar, we are actually redoing it once again so more people can join. Actually, I'm glad to announce some interesting news. So we are going to have a monthly webinar each last Saturday of the month with different topics. So I guess you can also suggest topics in which you are interested so that we can cover them in our webinars. Also, during the current webinar, you could chat with us in the chat next to the live stream, but unfortunately you have to log in Twitch. However, this can happen in less than 30 seconds, so just log on and have the opportunity to ask us questions.
I will answer your questions because I will be reading the Twitch chat, and also Kirill will be online as well if you need some questions to be answered.
Okay, so next slide. So yeah, it's me, Ivan, which will help this webinar. Also here with me is Mikhail, and Kirill is online with us also. So let's get to the agenda for today. We'll have something like 30 to 45 minutes covering the Animal Alice Challenge for the First Level League 2016 competition, and after that you'll have the opportunity to ask us some questions that we can cover or later on answer them. So the presentation, the webinar is divided in three parts. The first one is take a look at the overall challenge for 2016, and later on we will cover several missions that we find a little bit more interesting, and missions that aren't on a regular basis involved in the First League competition. Afterwards, as I mentioned already, you have the opportunity to ask us questions that hopefully we can answer. So let's proceed. This is the field for this year's competition. There are a lot of interesting missions, but there are also a lot of missions that are regular in the First Level League competition. So this involves some missions with loops and etc. With our next digest, we will share with you, interesting material where we can go over all of the missions in this year's competition and share with you which videos on Fllcasts.com you could find helpful for the competition and for each of the missions. Also, you could take a look at our discourse page where you could share with us your difficulties, and hopefully we can get back to you with some answers about them. So next we have prepared several materials for you. This presentation actually will be sent to you later on. So you have a link for the challenges so that you could take a look and read them if you're not already familiar with the competition. Next we have an interesting video. It's actually the official video from the First Level League competition.
We haven't made an official video for the competition yet.
For the rules, yeah. So this is an overview of each of the missions, and it's quite interesting because it is explained in engaging way. So you could recreate those explanations to the kids so that the missions could be more interesting for them and more engaging. Next, we have another video from Hands-on Technology, which are the partner to first for organizing competitions in Central Europe. So it's another interesting view to the missions and some explanations what are the rules. Both videos are worth watching, especially if you are going to compete in the competition, so that you must be really familiar with all of the rules. So next, as I mentioned already, we have some standard missions which involve push or pulling some objects, crossing over some objects, taking loops, and etc. And all of those missions are more or less covered in each year's challenge in the first league. So every year you have loops to be collected or transported or I don't know, or hang on something like last year. So more or less those are the standard missions where you have to manipulate objects and loops, to move around some objects on the field, and etc. But next you have some missions that are special for each of the challenges, and we'll stop on several of them. The first one, could you change the slide please? Yeah, is the shark shipment mission. It's actually involved. We'll show you right now. Yep. Could you see what's more like this? Okay. And could you make it full screen, please? Yep. Thank you. So you have this shark within this tank, which is inside the base in the beginning of the mission, in the beginning of the match. So your mission is to transport the shark from the base to this one of those two zones here. However, the bonus part, the tricky part of the mission is that at the end of the match, the shark should not touch any of the walls of the tank. And also, you are not allowed to put anything inside the tank, and also you're not allowed to touch the shark. So you can only manipulate the tank, and the important thing is that at the end you have the tank completely inside the one, two zones. That means that if you have the tank like this, the mission is not completed. So you need to have the tank completely inside. However, the tricky part, as you see, is that when you...
Can you show us again where the tank is supposed to be, because I was zoomed on you.
Oh, okay. So the tank, if the tank is like this, the mission is not, the mission is not completed. So you have to have the tank completely inside. So let's say like this. Yep, in zone 1 or in zone...
We cannot see zone 2 right now.
Okay, I will fix that. So, or in zone 2, okay? So, the tricky part here is that if you try to lift the tank, for instance, you have to be really careful and you have to lift it really steady. Otherwise, if you just a little bit flip it, the shark will flip and touch the tank, and you won't have the bonus points. So actually what's something more interesting to observe is that if you push the tank from this side, so although I will push it with, with more power, the shark is still in one place. However, if you try to push it from this side, it's quite easily to tilt the shark. So your main goal will be to try to manipulate the shark, pushing it from one of those sides, not from the last sides of the tank. And also the maneuvering here will be quite tricky because you have those obstacles here. And yeah, it's quite an interesting mission, especially for the bones part. The first part, where you have just to have the tank completely inside the base, it's you know, in the section of quite standard missions, because it's just pushing an object throughout the field. Okay, so
And there are not many bonus points. It's just 5 points added to the 15 points which the mission scores if the shark is not touching the.
isn't it 20 points?
It's 20 points if the shark isn't touching, and 15 points if the shark is touching, I think.
No, it's 7 for this one, 10.
Okay, maybe you're right.
Okay.
We'll check it and.
Yep.
I'll check
So we can proceed with the next mission meanwhile, probably.
Okay. So.
And in the meantime, you can check the scoring.
The next mission we got today is animal conservation.
Yep. Could you put it full screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the next mission that we'll cover. It's called animal conservation, and it's one of the regular missions that involve teamwork. So the aim here is that you have to play beforehand with, communicate beforehand with the other team, so that you can make sure your strategy is correct and the other team is aware of it, because here you score together points. So if both teams succeed with that mission, both teams receive points, and if both teams fail, both teams does not receive points. So what is actually the mission? In the beginning of the mission, probably you could now make it full screen so that I can explain on the mission model. Yep, thank you. So in the beginning of the mission, you can take any animal from the field and put it on the stands here. After the run starts, you could switch animals only through the robot, so you could not touch any of the animals by hand. So it's quite good to think about it and decide beforehand which animal you should put in the beginning of the match with a hand. So after the animals are set, you could use either those yellow levers like this to push them, to pull them, so like this. And as you could see, the model is rotating, the platform is rotating and switching the two animals. So either you could do it like this, or you could just push it like this with the robot. So you receive points for each switch made. So if I switch those animals like that, I receive points. Next, you will have to recover the animals from the platform by the robot and take two new animals on the platform. Okay, so here the tricky part actually is how you take and put those animals on the platform, because they have some irregular form and it's quite tricky to take and leave them by the robot. So here is the field you should put a thought about. Also, it's quite interesting how to make the platform rotating, but however, as I mentioned, you could pull the lever, which it's not so difficult, or you could have some attachment or hand that can rotate the platform. pretty interesting, and I'm really looking forward some decisions and solutions from the teams how they recover the animals. Okay, so we can proceed with the next mission. So we have
the feeding part.
Yep, the feeding. So the feeding, it's another interesting mission where it really involves using sensors, and it's quite tricky actually. So if you could
just 1 second, I'll put up the camera so people can see the model right in front of.
Yep, I'll take it. Just outzoom it probably and put the camera on, please.
Yes. So.
Yeah. So this is the model, and actually the mission is quite interesting. We have these pieces of food which are put inside the mission model in the beginning of the run. So you just put them like this, and the first part of the mission is to take them out of the mission model. This can be my bad. I just made a mistake putting them. Okay, so you have the pieces of food inside, and the first part is to recover them from the mission model. This is actually quite, well, it's not so easy, but it's quite standard, and you just have to pull the yellow levers once again. So you just make like this, and they are dropped on the mat. However, the next part is that each of the pieces of food you recover, you should put in one of the feeding zones, and each piece of food gives you 10 points. However, if you have 2 pieces in one zone, they must be within the same cover. So here is the tricky part: how you actually know and understand what is the cover of the feed. So here,
of the treat, you mean?
Yeah, of the treat, yeah, the piece of food. So here you have several options. The first one is to use sensors. However, this could be quite difficult, especially for beginners. So this is something that probably the more advanced teams should focus. So you could use sensors, and while the pieces of food is falling on the mat, you could detect the cover of the food and divide them in the appropriate way so that you could take them to the corresponding zones. Another option is to see before the match to what are the covers inside, and using, for instance, some touch sensors or brick buttons or whatever, input that information within the brick so that your robot will know what is the order of the covers falling from the food
dispenser,
for instance. Yeah. And the final way, of course, which is probably the way that the beginner teams should focus on, is to take all of the food, bring it to base, and divide it by hand. However, this is quite time consuming, so yeah, you should really thought about your strategy and decide whether to focus on that mission, whether you have the time to complete it,
and whether you have the skills to complete it, because it sounds like a very easy mission, but you might think of a strategy where it's more complicated than you can execute, and you can waste a lot of your time and energy on that one particular mission, which is never good. You should focus on the missions that give you solid points, and then you should think you can think about realizing missions that are more complicated and so on.
Yeah, exactly. He's totally right. This competition is all about consistency. So you should be really sure in the points you make. So it's better to have 200 points each and every run than having one of a 10 chance to earn 400 points. So it's really about your robot being consistent and doing the same missions each and every time. Okay, so this is about that mission, and probably we can continue with the milk. Could you
put the slide so you can talk about the rules about the milk mission?
Yep.
And then
okay, so we have the milk mission.
Here you go.
Yep. Meanwhile, could you switch the camera on the mission mode?
Okay.
Yeah. So we have the milk mission, which is quite interesting. Actually, here the difference between the easy and the hard part of the mission is not so much. So you receive 15 points if you complete the mission, and if you complete it in the smart way, you will receive 20 points. So it's just 5 points difference, which is I'm not quite sure whether it is worth it, but the mission definitely is quite interesting. So I will cover it. Okay, so could you turn on the camera for me, please? Here you go. Okay, thank you. So this is the mission model for the milking mission, and inside it you have those cylinders, white for the milk and brown for the manure. So they are put in the corresponding containers. However, I think there's 3 of them. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm missing one from each.
One from each. Here's one milk.
Thank
And now
you.
I'll take a look for one manure.
Okay, so I'll continue explaining the rules of the mission. So here the mission involves 2 parts. First of all, you have to push the cow toward the station to unlock the mission model. So you just push it. It's fairly easy to do it. Then you have to turn the mission model. However, you have restraints on the turning, so you can turn the mission model only by pushing the red lever. So you could not just take the mission model and rotate it. So just push the red lever and rotate the mission model. So like this. And at one point, just because the model isn't fixed. So at one point, the milk will drop, as you could see. And if you drop only the milk, so if we stop here, we will receive 20 points. However, it's really tricky to know when to stop pushing. And because if you continue to push your mission model a bit more, the manure will also drop. So as I mentioned, the difference is just 5 points. So I would suggest not to concentrate on this difference. So just push the red lever, and if you manage to take out only the milk, great. If not, whatever. However, if you have the time and the interest and the skills, it's quite interesting to make the robot consistent about taking out only the milk. So here you can follow this black line along the mission model while rotating, but it's really important to focus on when to stop rotating. So I will return the mission model to its original position once again and give you one thought about it.
You want it hot?
No, it's okay. So I'll return the manure and the milk inside the mission model. Okay, and now when we start pushing the red lever like this, if you can see, actually the milk is dropped somewhere near this red line, this black line. So if your robot is a little bit, bigger, and most of the first big competition robots are with wide
Constructions?
yep, with wide constructions. You could use another cover sensor to detect this black line, and when you detect it, you know that that you have reached the point where the milk is dropped and stop before the manure is dropped. Another way is to use the gyro sensor, which is quite interesting solution. So we could follow the black line and focus on the values from the gyro sensor and see where exactly you drop the milk and stop every time you just drop the milk. So once again, it's quite interesting mission. Okay, so could you get back to
The rules?
Yep, to the rules. So could you change the slide? Next one, I got it. Okay, so basically those were the main missions that we went to cover in this webinar. You could drop us a line here or at discourse.fllcast.com, so we could continue our talk over there also, and if you have any questions, we will be more than happy to answer them. Meanwhile, could you
Yes.
Could you check whether
We have any questions?
Yep, in our Twitch channel.
Just
So
1 second.
Okay.
So we are waiting for your questions at Twitch. We currently have no questions in the Twitch panel, and we have
Yep.
9 people watching us, which is, I think, fine.
Yep. So yeah, guys, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. So yeah, feel free to ask us some questions. So we'll wait a minute or so to see if you have any questions, and we'll answer them. As I mentioned once again, you could take a look at our discourse page, where you could comment on the rules and also on the missions, share with us the difficulties you face and what problems you have. Hopefully we can help you with some of them. You could also share your experience with other teams over there, and over there you could share with us not only your FLL experience, but you could comment on all of the videos in the Fllcasts.com and from the World Robotics Olympiad also. you could take a look at our new box robot that we're releasing currently, so it's coming soon, and it will be quite amazing, I believe. So we have some question.
The question is from the user Olivas1992, and how would you go about starting this mission? Is the question.
Could you be more specific on which mission? So yeah,
We will be more than glad to answer your question. Just we need to know
some
which
clarification.
mission you
Yeah.
want.
So yeah, for all of you out there, please be a little bit more specific with your questions, so that we can, answer them properly, and we will have most from our answers if we, understand correctly the situation in your question.
Maybe we have to wait
Yeah,
a little bit because of the lag of the Twitch chat.
Yep, and you could also turn on the small camera.
Okay?
Yeah, just for them to see us.
So they know that we are here.
Yeah, that we're live. Yep.
We are waiting for Olivas to tell us which mission he wants us to talk about, more specific.
Yep. And also for the rest, if you have any questions, now is the time to ask them, because we won't have time for many questions.
Getting the milk from the cow manure mission.
How would you go about starting this mission? Okay, so I'm still not sure whether I understand you correctly, but as I said, for all the missions, it really depends on how advanced and experienced is your team. If you are participating for, third year, for instance, for sure you could go for completing the whole mission. However, if you are beginner team, I really believe that you should have some line following, the circle around the mission model, and pushing the red lever, and just
Hoping for the best.
yeah, exactly, try to stop at the right time, so execute the line following for, let's say, 2 seconds, and if you have 50% success rate, you should be more than happy about that. So that will be my suggestion.
Yes, and it's only 5 points. If you drop only the milk and not the manure. If you're a more experienced team, then you need to know if you got only the milk, so you can do some other missions with them and get more bonus points. But only for the milking mission, I think it's push the red lever and hope for the best.
Well, it's it won't take you running and execution time if you use, as I mentioned, a second light sensor or another gyro sensor. But however, it's quite difficult to program such a solution. So if you're less experienced team, you have a lot of time invested in something that you won't be really sure that you even will get there. I really don't want to be demotivating, but yeah. And if you're advanced team, you just worth it to program it, because actually, yeah, the running time won't be changed, and you will receive 5 points after all.
Yes.
So we have
Another question.
Yeah. Meanwhile, all of us, I hope that I have answered your question. But if you have any, if you need any clarification on my answer, just drop us a line, and we'll try to explain once again.
The next question is, for the animal conservation, does the robot have to unload and load the animals onto the model after they have been swapped?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I believe that this mission is quite tricky. So you have to load and unload the animals by the robot. So you can only load by hand the first animal. That's why I told you that you should really think about it. And actually, I believe that this mission will have a huge impact. So, the teams that are well prepared, that are experienced, and etc., will think of a way to load and unload the animals, while the less experienced teams will just put by hand the first animal and swap the first animal pair, and afterwards they will probably just leave the mission like this. So it's really tricky mission for beginner teams.
For the less experienced teams,
Yeah.
it's one of the more difficult missions.
Actually, the animals are quite different in sizes and shapes and etc. So
but you could build a forklift.
yeah, using the platform, but it's still tricky because you have so little space. So you should be really precise with your robot. So yeah, basically this is a mission that I believe it will be difficult for experienced teams also.
It's more complicated than, for instance, in the senior solutions with the balls. Do you remember that challenge?
Yeah, it's a lot more complicated though. There was all about strategy and etc. Here is more for programming, constructioning and etc.
Another thing you might want to consider is that it is a lot of time that it takes for the model to make a turn. So, for instance, if the other team has started doing this mission, it's gonna be hard. You have to wait for them and communication and stuff, because they might have turned it to the half, and you might have to wait for them so they turn the mission mode.
Yeah, so you turn. Well, it's quite interesting mission, and I'm really looking forward to solution of some of the teams because it will be interesting for sure. So yeah, probably we can answer one more question. So yeah, give it a try. And however, as I already mentioned, you could go to our discourse page. So it's discourse.fllcast.com and shot us with your questions, where we can answer them, and also some of our other subscribers and members also can answer your question and share their experience. Also, you could give it a go with the videos. So we are releasing, as I mentioned already, a new video about the box robot, so it will be also quite interesting.
No questions. We can wait a few minutes for a question, and we could finish this month's webinar.
Yeah, exactly.
As you said in the beginning, we're gonna make this a monthly thing, which means that it's gonna be a monthly thing, but we're gonna do it this month once again, because this webinar has been made.
Yeah, it's actually the September webinar, and we are redoing it because many people shared with us that didn't have the opportunity to join the live stream and really wanted to do. So that's why we are doing it once again. However, as I mentioned in the beginning, every last Saturday of the month. So stay tuned with us. Well, probably that will be all for this webinar. So we'll see each other last Saturday of that month, and meanwhile, see you at fllcast.com, and have a nice day. So that's all from us. Bye.
Bye, guys.